Time for the Wikipedia thing when it says about Death's Head 2.
Wikipedia, motherfucker.
Superheroes have had a market in the UK as well, mostly in the form of reprints. In 1972, Marvel set up an official UK division, once again handling reprints of the material, sometimes with new covers and a lot of stories condensed into larger magazines to help play catch-up, or just to compete with other UK comics that were longer than the standard 22 or 24 pages that Americans usually have. It was also helped by putting in other characters into backup features, like Doctor Strange in Spider-Man Comics Weekly. Speaking of, a lot of the books were weekly as opposed to monthly, the reprint nature also assisting with that. Original material did start to get published, or at least licensed material for franchises like Star Wars and Conan. However, it was in the late 70s when they launched the Marvel Revolution, wherein they would print more original material with already established characters, or branching out to more franchises, like Doctor Who Weekly. In the mid-80s, one of the most popular comics was the Transformers UK comic, which, aside from reprinting the US Marvel series, had its own content that took place in between those issues, or went off in their own direction. Since it was weekly, it lasted for 332 issues as opposed to the American comic's 80 issues. And a number of UK-only Marvel books were created that seemed to be focused around the same time period. The idea being that in their own universe, the Marvel Heroic Age took place in the 80s, the world got taken over by evil corporations, and now a new wave arising, usually cyberpunk techno stuff going on, with titles like Machine Man, Death's Head 2, and Warheads.
Marvel UK was awesome, dude. All I gotta say is, like, I even met one of the artists who got a signed issue called Battle Tides, and there was some lame ones, like there was Warheads and Hell's Angel, and if you saw her costume, she looks like total girl power.
A name that just so happened to catch the eye of the biggest outlaw motorcycle club in the world, who just so happened to also be called the Hell's Angels.
Then they changed from Hell's Angel to Who Gives a Fuck Angel. That was Wild Thing.
This comic sucks! Forgiving the stupid and dated virtual reality premise, the book is just boring as all hell and badly drawn. We're barely introduced to Nikki Doyle, and all we really know is that she's addicted to virtual reality, has a crappy virtual reality avatar, and has got a chip on her shoulder the size of Venom. But the future does have some hope in it.
But yeah, like another Marvel UK series I liked was Motorhead. No, Motormouth. Motorhead is a different one altogether, and no, it has nothing to do with Lemmy. But Motormouth was this foul-mouthed British fucking punk rock chick named Harley. I'm not kidding, her name actually was Harley, and this is before Harley Quinn, by the way. Roughly the same time. But yeah, she was this foul-mouthed street punk rocker chick, because they kind of knew punk rock was coming back. Like,
God, I spilled milk all over my penis.
Did I say little problem?
If I had a nickel for every time I spilled some on my clothes, I'd be a rich guy. I don't believe it. Lunch all soggy and... Pardon me.
Foul-mouth swears so much his beak has been declared a toxic waste dump.
she was a foul mouth. Like, they would bleep out what she said, but you know for a fact what she was saying is vulgar. And then she gets, basically, you're gonna love this. This is how cheesy it was. She found these time-traveling interdimensional sneakers.
What the fuck is this?
So, of all the characters and all the stuff in Marvel, the character I want to see, it would be the Disney Marvel's equivalent to Deadpool and Lobo, in my opinion.
The character came out mid to late 80s and then later got rebooted for the first time in the early 90s. His name is Death's Head.
Oh god, he was the best character.
So he's a cyber, it's basically like IG-88, you know, that assassin droid from Star Wars who killed the masters, like the Frankenstein story.
Sounds like you got your wires crossed, IG-88.
IG-88 was a model of assassin droid that gained near sentience. There were 4 replicas made. Of those replicas, IG-88B was the second best bounty hunter in the galaxy. Despite an order to dismantle on site regarding the IG-88 series, Darth Vader hired IG-88B to capture Han Solo. Before leaving the Executor, the droid downloaded and transmitted information about the second Death Star to IG-88A. He then placed a tracking device onto the Slave One and followed Boba Fett to Bespin.
As there is a 0% probability that you will survive this encounter, I see no risk in informing you that I have tracked my esteemed competitor through the JAR system.
Let me tell you who I am and how I paved the way. Made a call for how to say, I can't help it, Dave.
But like, more badass.
and today I'm going to give you all the history of one of comic book's more obscure characters, the robot bounty hunter Death's Head, whose life story involves an actual crossover between the Transformers, Doctor Who, and Marvel Universe franchises. And I'm being serious.
I'm super serial.
Now, Death's Head started out as a robot bounty hunter that existed in the world of the Transformers. He had a short one-page story before his appearance in Transformers.
But pretty much right away we thought, ooh, maybe he's, we'd like to keep hold of him as a Marvel character.
Death's Head was originally created as a throwaway character for the use in the UK Transformers comic. A bounty hunter would be featured in a single story arc, and then, according to writer Simon Furman, would be discharged down the line, probably at the end of the first story arc.
So we did a little one-page strip just to make sure he was a Marvel character first.
Death Sr. then showed Furman the initial character design, and at which point they decided that the character would have potential beyond his planned appearance as a generic Doc Mech with an attitude. As a result of this, Simon Furman also wrote the Transformers script to change Death's Head's dialogue and then revise the character's concept. To avoid Hasbro claiming ownership of the character as a consequence of the Transformers copyright terms that they agreed with Marvel, Death's Head had to make his debut in another comic before appearing in the Transformers. This situation had also required another Marvel character created in the use of Transformers, Circuit Breaker.
And then, after a while we took him out of Transformers and through a few other titles and into his own title. And
now, Death's Head's first story appearance was in the Transformers UK comic, in a story that happened after the story arc, Target 2006, an epic time travel story that featured the characters from the end of Transformers the movie, going back in time to events that happened before the movie. Death's Head's first mission he's seen on is collecting a bounty on the evil Decepticon leader Galvatron, a bounty that was made by Rodimus Prime.
First, Prime, then Ultra Magnus, and now you.
However, Death's Head proves to be a very ruthless and kind of insane bounty hunter upon attacking Rodimus Prime for attempting to get in his way of defeating Galvatron, which was a mission that Rodimus himself sent Death's Head on. So after that incident, Death's Head shows that he truly has no allegiance to anybody when he takes a paid job offer from the Decepticons to kill Rodimus Prime, only then to take a paid job offer to kill the Decepticons when Rodimus Prime promises to pay him more. What? Yeah, this robot has no morals. However, Death's Head's story becomes intertwined with the story of Unicron attempting to rebuild himself. Fortunately though, Death's Head is able to resist Unicron's mind control and helps Rodimus Prime defeat him. However, as Death's Head attempts to use Unicron's time portals to send himself and the Decepticons far away, Unicron explodes.
Destiny. You cannot destroy my destiny.
The unstable explosion mixed with the unstable time portal winds up sending Death's Head flying through time and space, where he could crash into anything. And he winds up crashing into the TARDIS. Yep, Death's Head meets the Doctor from Doctor Who, the 7th Doctor if you're wondering.
It's okay, dear. We'll just have a nice cup of tea.
After the initial Transformers storylines, the characters appeared in Doctor Who magazine number 135, April of 1988. The story which saw him reduced from a giant robot in a more human stature by means of one of the Master's tissue compression eliminator.
Yeah, the Master, the Doctor's like, total evil arch nemesis who was his best friend.
I always dress for the occasion.
Now in Doctor number 12 is now the Mistress.
Well, couldn't very well keep calling myself the Master, now could I?
So basically, they were always like gay for each other. Now that you can make them go for each other. I'm transgender for you, but it's Britain.
See, when people get in my way, I either bargain with them or kill them.
Then the Doctor, being brilliant as always, finds a way to send Death's Head to Earth in the 82nd century. Once on Earth, Death's Head has a few crossovers with another Marvel UK comic called Dragon's Claw. But while on Earth in the 82nd century, Death's Head winds up getting a new look and sets up a new bounty hunter service on Earth.
He gets appearance in Dragon's Claw number 5.
I like that series, it's pretty cool.
Which led into an ongoing series of his own. The first issue prompted a letter from Stan Lee praising the character and creative team.
However, Death's Head eventually gets a client that wants to see the Doctor destroyed. So using an experimental time machine given to him by his client, Death's Head winds up encountering the Doctor again. But upon realizing that Death's Head experimental time machine is actually going to explode soon, the Doctor actually saves Death's Head from seemingly certain doom. And so after the Doctor gives Death's Head a speech about change, he leaves Death's Head on the top of a building where the Fantastic Four live. Yep, the Doctor left Death's Head in the middle of New York in the modern-day Marvel Universe.
Oh yeah!
There, Death's Head has an adventure with the Fantastic Four and even helps them save Reed and Sue Richards' son Franklin. Then after that, Death's Head has further adventures, jumping through time and space, and has encounters with Iron Man 2020, She-Hulk, The Avengers, and more. But for the most part, they're all appearances in the mainstream Marvel comic.
And then what happened?
After the cancellation of the series, Marvel UK published an origin story of the character, the body in question, initially theorized in the Marvel UK anthology strip, and later collected in a single trade paperback.
I got that one too, by the way. It's pretty cool.
Now, Death's Head timeline gets a little tricky after his first few appearances in the main Marvel universe. There's a story where he gets killed and then gets upgraded into another robot called Death's Head 2, but then the originals still appears in future stories, which may or may not take place before he got killed.
The Marvel UK, because you know, that's one thing about it is like Marvel I'd have like these other parallel universes, and one of them was the 2099 universe, which is a possible future with Spider-Man and Punisher and a character we never heard of named Ravage and Doctor Doom and X-Men and shit and even Hulk, and they're like future versions of themselves, and it's neat, you know what I mean? You can totally tell it was basically inspired by Judge Dredd, and the main villain of that is some corporation, right? Well, in the Marvel UK universe, their main evil villain is the same thing. It's evil corporation called Miztech. Miztech was, you know, think like Hydra, but with magic as well. Imagine Voldemort ran Hydra and Weyland-Yutani.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe or I will scratch your eyeballs out.